key components in builder contract.
But first, let's hit it. Hi, it's Alan Victoria. Welcome to our Tailend Podcast.
And if this is your first time in our podcast and YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe and get notified.
As we call text all the time at 252-327-3357. We love talking to you. Do not be shy. Also, don't forget to get our buyer's guide and seller's guide in the description below.
Exactly. And one of the
I mentioned the 252-327-3357.
Yes.
Okay, I did.
And one of the reasons really we're recording this video and podcast is really there's lots of confusion when you are buying a brand new construction because you need to follow the contract of the builder, which is a little bit different from the standard of the contract that you have for the North Carolina buyers.
Right. So, I mean, things are just a little different. And this is not all builders. We're just kind of talking about generalities. But there are some differences, and we're going to point them out so you are aware that when we're talking contracts and builders contracts, what you're kind of getting in for when you say, hey, I want to buy a new construction, which is a great idea. 31% of America is buying a new construction right now. But
Yes.
The contracts are just a little different, so you should know what you're signing up for.
Exactly. And the first thing that we wanted to hit on the key points component for the builder construction basically is pricing and basically lending.
Also, before we get into the pricing and lending, which is super important,
Yes.
I want to point out that there's two different things here. One is, are you building completely from scratch a pre-owned on a subdivision, or are you buying a spec home? So those are the two questions we have.
Which is pre-sale or a spec.
Right. So a spec home is going to be where the builder's already picked out a lot of things. Pre-sale, you can pick out a lot of things yourself, and I'm talking about cabinets and stuff like that. With spec, sometimes you can, most of the time you can't.
Exactly.
Anything like that. But either way, these are contracts we're talking about contracts. So I just want to point out there are some differences in home new construction anyway. So let's talk about pricing.
Exactly. Therefore, what you wanted to basically talk about?
Pretty much prices are going to be what the sticker price is going to be the sticker price. And there's really no negotiating down. There was a set cost of how much that builder was going to charge. There's material that they paid for construction, labor.
Yes.
There are certain fixed costs that the builder has taken on, and they have a very specific price that they're wanting. However, it's not fully fixed. What do you mean?
Exactly. As my wife said, for example, for the pre-sale home, you basically, based off the items that you choose, for example, upgrading your flooring or cabinets or any additional item like putting extra tray ceiling or fireplace or walk-in shower tile, different things.
And where you want that fireplace can all add prices, or you can go up really fast, or you can lower prices down if you're, savvy about it.
Therefore, definitely you need to consult with your real estate agent and see if you wanted to put all this money up front, is it worth it for the future? Because you wanted to think about the future too.
Next thing we're going to talk about is financial contingencies and conditional approval deadlines, because this is something that a pre-owned home probably isn't going to have. However, when we deal with builder contracts, they want to see that your financing is solid. So they are building this house and your financing is awesome.
Yes, and then we notice many of the builders, not all of them, many of the builders, they have the preferred lenders, no? How it works with them?
With the preferred lenders, there's a misconception. I heard somebody say, like, oh, they're going to, share our information. That's not true. What does happen, though, is that the preferred lenders get preferred rates, therefore that they are offering discounts and incentives for people who they know can close with them and they've successfully closed in the past with. They're not usually in one situation, the DHI with DR Horton, that is owned by the same Mr. Horton. However, that's a national company. However, most companies are not this national company where it's everything. So it's typically different lenders who've just proven that they're consistently can close over and over again in the area that most of the local builders are going to be using.
And one of the advantages I just wanted to add, when you're using the builder's lender, the process might move smoothly. No?
Right, and that's where those incentives come in, like the $5,000, the $10,000, whatever the incentive is at that time when you're making the deal, that incentive is going to apply to you.
Exactly. And then next time, basically, we wanted to talk about the approved loan types and earnest money deposit, which is different from builder to the builder.
Right now, with most builders, you are going to be putting something down. So if it's fully customized and you're going to fully customize, you're going to have to put more money down. Now, otherwise, most builders are going to have their set earnest money. And many times, I'm not going to promise all, you might actually get some money back. So it's a safer bet in North Carolina if your financing follows through to go with the new construction than to buy a pre-owned home where that due diligence fee is completely non-refundable.
Exactly. And as my wife said, if you have the customized, they might go up to 2 to 3% earnest money down. And some builders that we have locally here, they can go even just $1,000 for the earnest money, which is going to be in your favor.
So, yeah. So next one, let's talk about those home inspections.
Exactly. Therefore, we want to talk about...
Which I always recommend.
Home inspection. Oh, there's a lot of stuff that you need to pay attention. Many of the builders, especially if they are big builders or national builders like D.R. Horton, they offer 1 to 10 year warranty. That
even the local builders offer a long-term warranty.
That means ease your stress about worrying about structure damage or anything that comes to your mind about the safety of the homes.
Now, also, I want to point out with home inspections, I would recommend it because you never know, and it's better to have an inspector who doesn't work for the company to completely check. And I've seen it happen to where the inspection goes in, they find something, but what's nice about new construction is they're more likely going to fix whatever the inspector has found, as long as it is deemed true. Now, I've seen inspectors give untrue statements, and then obviously there's nothing to fix. However, generally speaking, the inspector finds something, we want to fix it. And generally speaking, like, I don't know, the air conditioner was broken. They're going to fix the air conditioning or replace the unit because it's a new unit. So they're just going to say, what is this? And we want another one. Like, they can fix it.
Exactly. Therefore, I know that it's going to cost a couple $100 more,
well worth
but it's worth it, definitely. And the next thing that I literally mentioned it in the previous title is really warranties, disclaimers, and arbitration clauses.
Right. So with warranties, they're typically going to give you 10-year structural, and if something is wrong, you have somebody to call and fix, which is nice because when you own a pre-owned home, there's nobody to call and fix after the first year for anything. So if your windows aren't holding air anymore, well, that's a problem. With new construction, they can call the window replacement people. Just making an example.
Exactly. And definitely real estate agent can help you to protect your right when you get into the brand new construction.
Now, with new construction, they are going to require arbitration if there's a legal problem. So just be aware that you might have to go through that. So just understand, know what it is. Hopefully there are no issues because we're doing all of our work up front because we are getting that inspection so you don't have a problem later on.
Exactly. And the next thing that we wanted to talk is homeowners association and optional upgrades and basically things that
Before you
comes
get
up.
that, aren't we going to talk about their closing process and the
Therefore,
lawyers?
Closing process and legal representation is the next things that we wanted to talk about.
Right. So typically the builders are going to want you to use their preferred real estate agents in North Carolina. Their preferred real estate agents are someone just going through they're doing the title work, they're making sure that the home is warrantable, that it passed all inspections, and that you can move in on closing day.
And appraisal, of course.
And of course, well, they're just checking, but that's really, so the lawyers don't have anything to do with appraisal. I don't know why you said it. No. So anyway, the lawyers kind of do the checking to make sure that you legally own the place clearly, and they will want you to use their own. Now let's talk about the HOA.
Exactly. The next thing we wanted to talk about is HOA, because we know that most of the places, especially new construction, for the basically maintaining basically the subdivision, they have the HOA. And there is we had it in our local market. There was one exception, but that's just one exception that we had.
Generally, new construction is going to want an HOA, and that HOA is going to be there. So you should always ask for the HOA fee docs. And if you don't have them, make sure your real estate agent gets you those docs.
Exactly, which outline everything, especially for many of you that you wanted to put a fence and you wanted to exactly see according to HOA where should be the easement, and they do the survey too.
Okay, so let's talk next about the house plan, the construction specifications, and of course your oil rights.
Yes,
which you're not getting.
Which is basically disclosure. And basically, what is included in this?
Basically, it's going to be the outline of what the house looks like, how they're going to build the house, the insulation, the heating, any contingencies.
Yeah.
Obviously, there is no oil in North Carolina under our ground, so you're not getting any. You know, oil rights are yours to have because we don't really have oil. We have water under there. If you were in Texas, you would probably not get the oil and gas rates. You're getting the non-existent ones here.
Pennsylvania. And then you need also to make sure, some of you maybe are picky about sewage, that is city, or the septic. That is things that you need to pay attention at the disclosure of the property.
Yeah, before you even put the thing on there, if that's an issue for you, make sure you've discussed that with us, your agent.
And the next thing that we wanted to talk about is the closing company, subdivision detail, and street information too.
And you should know that hopefully it's a public street. However, it's a private street. You need to know that your HOA has to deal with how to maintain the private street. And then you're going to have to know what those things are for resale value, because that can affect which loans your home can accept. Subdivision details: are there going to be a pool? Is it going to have a tennis court? Is it going to have nothing? What's the purpose of this HOA? Who's going to be in charge of it? Maybe you will. And all of this. And then also, who's going to do the closing? If you really don't want to use their attorney, there are ways. Talk to your real estate agent up front to say, hey, we want to use our own attorney for this. It can happen. Anything can happen.
And sometimes it is not a good idea. For example, in the case of D.R. Horton, if you choose your own basically attorney, then they're gonna cut part of the.
They're gonna charge you $2,000 more.
$2,000 more.
Okay, but I mean, if that's something you want, they're gonna charge you. At least that's the current rate at the filming of this video. Now I know we talked a lot of things around here. This was hopefully helpful.
This is super important in the case that one of the cases that recently happened to one of our buyers with the brand new construction, that definitely you need to have your real estate agent on your side to make sure everything goes smoothly. And thank you for watching this video. Give us a phone call at 252-327-3357. Looking forward to talking to you.